Yes.
Okay, thanks for coming. We have a guest today, Barry Mittling, I know, who is sitting right there. Just wave your arm. And I know Barry does good street stuff. He's interested in maybe joining us. That would be nice. The big news is, oh, Pat.
We have another guest.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you answer. This is my brother.
Oh.
Oh, we are.
Oh. Hey, well, could you show my thing on my drive showing the library show?
Was it the PDF?
Yeah.
Let's see, show.
Okay, we have for the first time in a few years, a library show. It will be at the Tuckahoe Library in October. And here are deadlines. This same information will be in the next newsletter and probably every newsletter after that. It'll tell you what the deadlines are, what you have to do, and so forth. Patricia Munford, who has been involved in the past, will help us again. And at the moment, I'm interested in finding out how many people might be interested in taking part. We have at the moment the upstairs space, if you know the library, but I think the downstairs space is also available. So we have plenty of room for plenty of people to show their photographs. Last time, I think there was a limit of 3 photographs per person. Do you think you would be interested? Raise your hand now. Okay. Definitely. I will go back to the library and see if we can get 2 spaces there. And as I said, this information will be available in the newsletter. No reason to take notes now, but it will tell you, it tells you all about the size, what you have to do, and they've got to be in frames, they got to be hangable. No mat boards are acceptable, and the deadline will be September 15th. You have to mark it on the back whether it's for sale or not, and get that information to MJ at a certain point. And then on October 1st, you drop off your framed and mounted pieces. There'll be a small group of us there to hang things. And then on the last day of October, the 31st, you got to come and get them. So we're happy we're going to be live again. And I hope lots of people will take a chance to show their stuff. It's free and there's a lot of traffic and it's a good time to take part. Nancy has a brief presentation she wants to make. Nancy. Okay. Can you do it now or you want to do it later?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Okay. Jeff has the good stuff.
Okay.
Open it up.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a very brief thought. I had a thought, trying to some images, and I sent it to Peter and said, what do you think? And Peter said, interesting, why don't you bring it to the club? So here it is. Maybe. basic idea is, one is a photo ceased to be a photo, because it never crossed that line. As I was playing with something, oh, that's the last thing. Let's go to the first picture.
Oh, okay.
That was Peter a couple years ago, and I took this very annoying picture. And I often watch a photo talk and learn session with a great photographer out in Richmond, Vancouver. One of the topics was architectural simplicity. So I went and I dug up another picture and I said, can I simplify this? What can I do? I played around and I got way off the topic of architectural simplicity and went out on my own limb and next image. And I created this. I thought it was kind of cool and nice and fun and, you know. But then I got crazy and I kept playing and I got this. And then the thought occurred to me, is this still a photo? Can I enter this into a full Photoshop? I wasn't sure. I really, so I went and I looked up what the definition of a photo, which I'm just going to put up. Now let you just read that for a second. That's it, you're laughing, huh? Is it a photo? Here's the expert. Is it a photo? Absolutely. You think so? Yeah. Wait till I show you what I'm going to show you. Okay. None of which are made with lenses. I'm sorry? None of which were made with lenses. But were they made reflective onto a photosensitive material of some kind? Oh, okay. Yeah. Digital art. Yeah, so my thought was. But your original one was a photograph. My original one was a photograph. It started with a photo. That was my thought. I thought I'd just pass it along to Sherry.
Well, I think it's a neat idea, because all of us have taken shots and we've played with them. And sometimes so far, it disappears as the photograph looks like something else. So the argument, yes, when the photograph stopped on photograph. And those of us that started out in photojournalism, we have a very strict definition of what a photo is. A photo is what you've just taken, it's not doctored. If you saw the headlines, this morning,
Yes.
the BBC, big flap in England at the moment. Princess Kate and her family had a photograph over the weekend of the family gathering taken by William. And this morning, it's been revealed that all of the news agencies have taken the photograph down because it has been altered. And Kate admitted she did a little.
But it was just on the cover of the sleeve.
Well, you look at the photograph and you try to spot what she may have done, because it's not readily available. And so the news agencies apparently thought that it was not legit anymore. It was not a photograph. But I'd be interested in people's opinions, because I looked at it for a long time and said, there isn't anybody here in this room, probably, who doesn't do something with a photograph at some point. Sharpen, crop, get rid of the tree coming out of somebody's head. It's, so it was a minor thing, but the news agencies said, BBC, AP, oh good.
I saw that last night, when they, I guess, talking about it, I thought,
Yeah.
and, what, have they announced what it is that was adjusted?
Yeah, there were several things. She doesn't have her wedding ring on.
Yeah.
Her hand was around her, one of the children, and the ring is missing. Which may be legitimate, because she doesn't have a ring. But one of the child's arms was a little bit altered. And I guess there were a couple of other small things that were so tiny most of us would never even notice. And and somebody must have spent a lot of time looking at that photograph and trying to find something. And she admitted it today. She apologized for having played with the photograph.
I guess the question is, so what?
Yeah, that's,
Exactly.
yeah, that is the question.
Exactly.
I just wonder if the editing wasn't much more dramatic than what we're talking about, like, I wonder if she was actually in the picture.
Yeah, she was in the picture.
Well, she's in the picture that they posted, but was she actually in the original? They've been hiding her since she spent weeks in the hospital.
No, I don't think it was that complicated.
Yeah.
I think it
No,
was,
The picture was taken in September, that's what it said,
And when?
in September,
yeah,
or maybe that's a picture that came.
but it was pretty simple. But the list I read of what had been changed.
Yeah, the cuff,
The cuffs on the shirt were altered a little
yeah,
bit.
nothing for the faces.
Nothing to the
faces.
faces,
Good
nothing,
for the headlines.
nothing to alter the tone for. It was just. Yeah, I agree. A lot. But anyway, big flap. So go back to your internet this afternoon and look at the BBC and so forth. And you'll see this is, for some odd reason, the lead story in all the English newspapers today. And
I only wish that they paid as much attention to the facts that they put into the paper.
oh, in England, yeah, those
Well,
newspapers, well, those newspapers are really
If they
bad.
paid that much attention to the facts, I think we'd be better off.
Anyway, that was today's headline.
Peter,
It made no
I can
sense.
make a comment.
Anyway, it was fun.
Hold on a minute, let me,
Peter,
wait a minute. just-
in my opinion,
Hold on a minute.
photojournalism doesn't define photography. It uses photography as a tool with a special
Richard, Richard,
subset
hold on
of
a minute.
criteria.
Let me change my speakers here so everybody can hear you. Okay, go ahead. Ask your question now.
Richard has a question.
Oh, no, I was just commenting on what you were just talking about, that photojournalism doesn't define photography. It uses photography as a tool with a special subset of criteria. So, you know, it may be proper if you look at that strictly in a photojournalistic sense to reject it. But certainly as a photograph, it's quite acceptable.
What was your question again?
My question is, why do they even put it up there, like on CNN, and use up that time?
It's the ratings.
You know, we're talking about it, we got attention.
The worst thing that ever happened to the news business was the 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
Because there isn't a news for 24 hours. Walter Cronkite used to do the whole world in 15 minutes. So now they just, anything is grist and they just gotta fill time.
It's on mute, Ken?
Yeah, he's muted.
Oh.
Where are we? Are we moving on? Are we moving on?
Yes.
Richard has some good ideas.
Well, go to my.
Which one?
Challenges. I was asked before the meeting what the next month's challenge is, and I didn't remember, but now I do. Here they are for the coming year. Again, this is in the newsletter each month, so you'll know what you're up against. April, making music. That's the challenge, photo share challenge. Anything you want to do that implies, suggests, shows music. Someone performing to a concert, anything at all. Color, black and white, doesn't matter. May on the street. Nancy, this is one of your favorites, I know. Anything from casual street images to festivals, parades, and so forth. That's why I always suggest going to festivals, because you can't go wrong. People are happy, people love to have their pictures taken. You can get great on the street shots. And it doesn't have to be people. On the street, you can, anything. June, getting close up. Get as close as you can to any subject, natural, flowers, whatever, or human-made, doesn't matter. Can be macro, doesn't have to be macro. July, seeing red. Images where one color dominates entirely. Where the first thing you see pops out at you is the color. Doesn't have to be red, it can be yellow, orange, whatever. And there can be other colors involved, but you've got to have one color that just catches your eye. July in the country. Farms, mountains, whatever. September, doorways, windows, and or porches. October, beauty. Wide definition, the most beautiful things you can find or make. November, slow shutter, slow down to capture motion. Intentional camera movement is allowed, encouraged, whatever you want to do. In December, Kemp will put together one of these loops in which we will see hundreds of our shots from the preceding year. So those are the challenges. You can get going anytime. And I'm interested to see what you come up. And speaking of challenges, GalaxyCon, if you remember what GalaxyCon is,
Yes.
okay. You can show is where people dress up in silly space outfits and flock to the convention center downtown for 3 days. And you do not even have to pay money and go inside. You can just stand on the street and get really wacky people shots.
Peter, you can volunteer and then you can go inside to become one of their volunteer photographers
Yeah,
and not pay. If you wanted to go on the side.
but if you don't want to go inside, I have just stood on the street and watched people. And if nothing else, it's good for a laugh. Also, I've discovered, we've talked about getting shots at the West Side Antique Mall, which we've done in the past. There's another little place called Paul's Place of Antiques and Architectural Salvage. Anybody know it?
What's your name?
Paul's Place, Antiques and Architectural Salvage. It's a little place up on the north side on Overbrook Road. They're open Thursday through Sundays. I was there last week, and she's happy to have people come in and take pictures. They have some of the darndest things, and it's not just antiques, it's salvage. It's not very big, but it's a lot of fun. They have stuff in a shop and then some vans outside with things. And all she asks is that we share our photographs with her. But it's a fun place to spend an hour. Only on Thursdays through Sundays. You have something called races.
Now, if we
There it is.
Google that, this Paul's Place, will that come up, tell us where?
Yep.
it is?
Yep. They have a website. It's on Overbrook Road. It's on the other side of things, but they do have a website. Got a whole bunch of Virginia State Park races coming up. If you're interested in one combining shots of parks and races, there's a whole bunch of them, all from starting June 2nd, running into October. I will put this in the newsletter also, so you can plan any shots you might want to take. It's a good time to get out and go to Pocahontas State Park or whatever. The Valentine, I was there a couple weeks ago, if you go on a Thursday, one, it's free. And two, if you go Thursday at 1 o'clock. They give you a tour of the Wickham House next door. If you've never been in it, it is really something to see. And if you want to do shots at the Capitol at any time, if you've been, the Capitol now has a new restaurant. So you can combine meals, watching legislators eat and taking pictures. The only thing I have left is the newsletter. Plenty of opportunities for you to get your photographs in. I've already buttonholed a couple people this morning about black and white shots. Please submit. It's a photo newsletter and it isn't going to be any good without your photographs. So send them to me as soon as you can, because I'd like to wrap it up in the next week or so. And I think that's it for the business, although Harold tells me we still have 8 members who have not paid their dues yet. So if you haven't, and if you're watching, get your money in to Harold. Because theoretically, we're supposed to bounce you out of the club if you don't pay. But we'll give you a little more time. And that's it. That's the warning. And I think I'll let Sue introduce our speaker.
Okay, great. Good morning, everyone. Today's speaker is Miss Ann Savage, and if you were with us last year, Ann visited with us, and her program was on neurofilters and some tips on how we can restore some of our images. Well, today she's going to be talking, and her program is on Willie Anne Wright, the celebrated artist who is now 100 or turning June. She'll be turning 100. Iconic artist, celebrated artist who has her exhibit at VMFA. And if you haven't had a chance to go see that exhibit, we encourage you to do that. Anne has been a longtime collaborator with Willie Anne and a wonderful friend to her. I'm sure they broke several laws trespassing over the years to get the perfect shot, and was a model for Willie Anne. And just a way of introducing Anne, Anne has exhibited throughout the world, in China, in Korea, and Brazil, and the usual London and New York, and all parts of the United States. A longtime educator. She teaches at the Visual Arts Center at the Bright Point Community College. She's taught a lot of other places, but recently she's been at the Bright Point Community College in the Viz Ed Center. Teaches Photoshop and photography, and I'm glad she does, and so are the students that are there. So if you want more about Anne, just go to Wikipedia or to her website, annsavage.com. So without any further delay, we'll just get right into it. Please welcome Anne Savage.
Don't go to Wikipedia. They try to kick me off because a friend of mine put it up, and you're not supposed to have anybody who knows you to do that. It has to be people that don't know you. So they took some things out, and it's very bare. It's there. It's very bare.
Just go to annsavage.com.
Yeah, that's my website. What do I need to do?
Probably need to turn your speakers off, because otherwise, well, I mean.
Okay. Turn my speakers here. Just turn them off.
Yeah, and then unmute yourself.
Unmute. And see if it works.
And
Okay.
you can start your video.
Yeah, well, that's just me. Yeah. Okay, all right. So is it going for the Zoom?
Yeah.
Is that working?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, I have discovered that if I do the screen share, yeah, that that's the best thing to do, because otherwise I forget. like I can just have it show one thing and then I start to show you something else and it doesn't work, so I just do it this way. Okay, let me do that. Before I start, I brought some things that you can see. I'll put them over here. These are publications that Willie has been in. This one was done by Candela Books, Gallery Books. You guys should know Candela, I hope. I'm in it 4 times if you look at it, just to let you know. And this one is the catalog for the BMFA show. And it has a lot of what's in there, and that's me, I'm on the back. Just want you to know, if you walk in, if anybody's seen the show except, yeah, so when you walk into the atrium, there's a banner. It's me. So over the years, I've modeled for her this, and I put some of these, anybody in here familiar with Cibachrome? The material, okay, so don't touch it. But if you look at these, I left one out so you can look at it. It's really, really glossy, kind of silvery inside. It doesn't exist anymore, but this material she and I both used in the 80s, actually, maybe 80s and 90s. And here's one. If you actually, I can pass it around if you want, and you can look at the material and see how it works.
Didn't the machine, it was over in Britain, I think, wasn't it? And they had to dismantle the machine for some reason, and they can't build it anymore, and that's why it's not available.
I think people just stopped printing it.
It's the chemistry.
You printed slides on. Who makes slides anymore? So I do have a Cibachrome I had printed of one of my pieces. It's 80 inches long. And it was done in Shirlington in Northern Virginia. So there was a company there that printed Cibachrome through the computer. This is all digitally generated. So I don't know about England. It might have been, but I do know that we don't take slides anymore. Anybody in here ever taken slides?
Okay.
I had a student one time come up to me and said, I saw these little pictures, they were like this big, and they had a picture in the middle, and I'm like. So, and I put a couple of other publications. This is a defunct magazine that doesn't exist anymore, the Pinhole Journal, and this is me on here. So it was published a number of times over the years. So I set these up so you guys can look at them. Yeah, because I think it's always good to see the originals. Teaching digital photography, one thing I've learned, and Willie is a person, she always pushes me to do things that I might not have thought about. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. But one of the things that I was going to say, and then my mind went blank, I forgot. I'll come back to it. Okay. Sue asked me to show you the video. This is, I left my mouse, sorry. Oh, but I think I'll do it at the end. I think I'll do it at the end and show you the video. It's on YouTube, and it was done in 2017. Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know if this will work or not. Maybe not. I'll just use my finger. Okay. All right. So I call this My Adventures with Willie. And I want to start by saying in 1967, I was a junior at what is now JMU, was Madison College at the time. And I entered the Virginia Artist with a painting. I did get in because, you know, I was an idiot. But I was looking at the catalog because it got invited, and there was this black and white image by a person called Willie Anne Wright. One night at Jimmy's, we saw the Supremes on color TV, and for some reason, I said to myself, I want to meet this person. I want to know this person. it just, I guess because, and I don't know about you guys, women, older women. I was told in painting class, women never become great artists. Their creativity is having babies. I swear to God, my professor told me that. And my goal has been to prove him wrong. You know, just to prove him wrong. But I mean, that was attitude. And I saw this woman in Richmond, Virginia, who had her work, and it's in the collection of the BMFA. The whole show is, but this was the first one that they bought. And I thought, I'm gonna meet her. So in I guess mid-70s, I can't tell you exactly the date. In the mid-70s, I was in the Richmond Artists Association, which, by the way, one of the people in the RAA was Teresa Pollock. You guys know who she was, right? And I got a note she sent me about being president one time, like what a good job I did. Treasure that note. But anyway, I was in the RAA. Well, I wanted to join the RAA, and she was the membership chair. And that's sort of how I connected with her. And then a few years later, we started an organization called the Virginia Society for the Photographic Arts. It was a statewide organization. Almost every photographer in the state of Virginia was a member at the time. The other organization in this area was the Richmond Camera Club, which was very active and used to always be in the paper all the time. So VESPA was something that opened up my knowledge of the photographers in the state. And Willie and I were actively members. She was president for a while. I was membership chair. So anyway, I'm just giving you that as my background on how I got to know her. The other thing she said to me all these years is, you have to have friends who are 20 years older and 20 years younger. Now, she has nobody 20 years older than her around anymore, but she has a group of us who are 20 years younger, who are her entourage that were with her all the time. All right, this is, so what happened in the 70s is she discovered pinhole photography, 60s. And she started doing these images in her backyard. This is a self-portrait, and you see pinhole cameras. She actually did, she learned how to use a view camera. She had a point and shoot, never used them. Her work has always been lensless. No lenses, just pinholes. So that's her in her backyard in the fan. This is that picture in color. Last night at Jimmy's, we watched the Supremes in color TV, 1968, it says. Although I think that's wrong because it was in the 67 Artists Biennial. And then she was very interested in pop art and musicians. She's been to see Tina Turner, James Brown, she used to go to all the concerts. I was very, for somebody old, my parents' generation, I was amazed that she was that interested in things. This is a painting she did, and I want you to know I'm in it on both sides, the right and the left. That's me. And I'll tell you later when we were going to pools, it was a period of time we would go to pools, and she was doing her pinholes there. But this is a painting that she did. So I just put some paintings up so you can see where she started. But when she learned how to use the pinhole camera, she started doing, did I ask how many of you have ever done pinhole? Nobody. Oh, one person. She taught me pinhole in the 70s, and what we used were oatmeal boxes. And you cut a little square, and you took a piece of metal, like a pie tin, and you took a number 10 needle, and you put the needle through, and you sanded it, you put the needle through, and you sanded it, and then you took a piece of photo paper and put it in the back, so it curved around. And then you set it out in the sun and aimed it at something and took a picture. This actually was not done with an oatmeal box. This was actually done with one of these cameras that she's sitting there holding, probably the one in front of her feet. But it was done on paper and then printed, contact printed. together. This is, I think her daughter and a friend of her daughter's. This is in the show, and this funny story about this is, and this is before I knew her. They took the camera and a couple of people to Maymont and just walked in like they were supposed to be there and went in and took pictures, no permission, nothing, just walked in like they were supposed to be there. So, you know, my theory has always been ask forgiveness and not permission. It's what she did here. This is her artist statement. I'm not going to read it to you. So then this is when she and I was teaching art at Colonial Heights in the 70s, and I was like, I'm done with this. I want to go find out what else I can do with my life. So every Friday, when the weather was nice, I called in sick. I had a lot of sick days. I called in sick, and we went to Virginia Beach. And this is her niece. Obviously I photographed her there. So this would have been probably 77, 75, 77. We would go to the beach. I would meet her. We would drive to Virginia Beach. I would change into my bathing suit. We'd go out on the beach carrying these boxes. You see, you've got two there, right? We carry them out on the beach. People go, what's going on? What is that? And then these are 5-minute exposures. So you didn't stand up. You generally sat down or laid down. And we would take the pictures, and then we would go, and I would change back into my clothes and we'd go eat lunch and come home. I did that every Friday that I was able to do it. It was lovely. And so that really kind of was one of the fun things. This is me in the black bathing suit with the straps, and that's her husband, Jack, her daughter-in-law, I think. So this is one of the, we would all, anybody who went and stayed at the beach, everybody would go down and she'd come take pictures. So if her family was there, if I was there with friends, we would just lay down on the beach and take pictures. And you can see on, oh, not that one. Okay, on some of them, you can see people moving because 5-minute exposures, right? Yeah. This is Colonial Beach. I wasn't there. See the shadow of the camera in the foreground? That happened if because you want the light behind you. And the thing is, unlike, you know, your camera, you can't see what you're shooting. So she would draw like an angle from this angle to this angle, and then she'd try to fix it. And there were some where she cut heads off. I have one of me standing. I didn't bring it, I guess. Standing up with no head.
Is the heavy vignetting because of the pinhole?
The vignetting was because of the focal length. Same thing you would get with a wide angle if you had a lens cap on it. Sorry, not a lens cap, thing, yeah. And what she did when she made the pinhole, it was how much the focal length distance was. So I think she made this fairly short on purpose because she wanted that vignetting. And if any of you have seen the show, some of the first images she did were very small, little vignetted images of that. Rolling Stone, she went to see them too, Rolling Stones. And this is a different Anne, not me. Susan Hankla. This is my friend Marcia in Artichoke. She liked to put things in front of us. She'd lay us down on the beach and put things in front of us. I think this one is up there, Nancy at Polly's. No, this one's not. And Etta Edwards, one of my dear friends who's left us, we call this Iron Woman. And she did one like this and we just cut my head off. So I think I have it somewhere. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Yeah. So I had bathing suits she would just love, and she loved this one with the bird on it. We went to a friend's house for a party one night, and I went to his bathroom, and I looked up behind the toilet, and there was a postcard with this picture on it. I'm like, all right. This is myself and my friend Etta at the beach. This is the one I was showing that's framed over there. This is my favorite one of all time. Cause you know, I don't look like this anymore and I have it hanging. So if you come out of my bedroom and go down the hall, it's right in front of you. So I want my husband to think I still look like that. Okay, these are ones she did in her yard mostly, still life. She set these up and these are Cibachromes as well. Now, all of these are, by the way. This is called Still Life with Cardinals. This she set up in San Francisco. I think she brought the stuff home and set it. I don't know if she did it in San Francisco or not. I don't remember. This one is really sad. Her mother and aunt were killed in a car accident. And that's a photograph of the car that was in the paper and pictures of them. This is, you can see she uses that fig tree a lot in her work. And also notice you're talking about, the vignette, see how it kind of goes in? It's sort of, you feel like it's moving in, it's a little wide here. It's like a really wide angle, I guess, when you do that. And I don't know about you guys, but if somebody's shooting with a wide angle, I try to stand in the middle and not on the end, because if you're on the end, you're about this much wider. Yeah. Still Life at Richards Road. A dear friend of ours, her name was Ruth Rose, owned a house out off of Old 100 near Brandermill. And they had this long road that went into the house. We went there any number of times. And she set this up with the still life and had the road in the background. And she did a number of them because you can see she couldn't always see exactly where things were going to be. I mean, there's no viewfinder. It's all a box. You just have to figure out if you're aiming it the right direction. And you guys know as you do things, the more you do, the better you get at what you're doing. This is Richards Road. This is the setup for this. See that? All right. And okay, this actually is a photograph I took at this point in my career. I had this mirror. It was a big old plexiglass mirror. And I carried it with me a lot of places. And then I put these paper dolls on it. So this is the Victorian paper doll. I'm sorry I had her in the way there. You know, this was film. Actually, this was Polaroid instant slide film. I used to go around the state and teach workshops using Polaroid instant slide film. Anybody ever use that? No. I have some images in the Polaroid collection, which is in Vienna, Austria. The Polaroid collection was acquired by them when Polaroid went out. So I printed on Cibachrome what I shot with that Polaroid slide film, and it had lines in it. But anyway, you didn't know, of course, when you shot exactly what you were getting either. So anyway, this is her setup with her camera. And then you can see the camera she's holding actually holds 4x5 film. So she had it made with 4x5 film holders in it. And then she could reproduce her pinholes after that. The Polaroids, and the first one she did, well, not Polaroids, sorry. The Cibachromes are one of a kind. You can't, you can copy them, but there was no negative. This, the one she's holding made the negative. All right, and this is the image. Now she has her hat on in this one, but what she said to me is, I think you shot that picture, and this is my proof that I shot that picture means I pulled a piece of tape down to expose. That's what I did. Okay, and then we were just wandering around and going to people's pools. Oh yeah, wait a minute, I have to say this. When we were going to the beach, I did a workshop for the museum at the Art Center, and back in that day, the Virginia Beach Art Center was on Pacific Avenue. You know, now it's out near the conference center, and it's changed its name. But it was the Virginia Beach Art Center, and they said to me, "Oh, come by anytime, you can do." So I would go and change into my bathing suit there, well, they kicked us out, so you can't do this. So that was one of the first places we got kicked out of. I'm just going to tell you some of that. All right, this is a pool that we went to, and that's me. At the pool. This is the Swires pool and Jack and Susan Glover. Does anybody remember Jack Glover? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering whether, like that mansion, you just walk into people's pools.
No, we have permission. Yeah, we got, I don't think I have it. We got kicked out of the Gloucester Daffodil thing once, because we called, we asked them permission to come, and we got there, started taking pictures, and the woman said, "You didn't ask me, you have to get out of here." So, yeah, we trespassed a few times, at least. She was a good role model. This one is in the museum, and I have one of, I know I was under that frog getting spit on one time, but I don't have that picture. All right, this one is the one that was reproduced any number of times in magazines. I brought a couple. This is Jack Blanton's pool, and we did have permission to go there, but he was never there. So we would get together and just drive down there and go in this backyard, and that's a float. And I would lay down on the float, and she would take the picture. And you see the windsock, he put that in, and she was really angry about the windsock. But this image, I think it said, I donated to the museum because they didn't have it. The one on the back of the book, they had. And I didn't remember that one at all. I think we did that one first, and we started doing these. But on the, I have, some of these magazines that, in fact, I think I gave most of the magazines to the museum that this picture was published in. At that time, it was published quite a lot. And this is her at Jack's pool, so that's me. This is her. Jack Blanton was the curator of art at the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond. And he allowed, because he was, a curator, and he allowed us to come to his place, and he acquired some of her work and some of mine, actually. She didn't shoot this. I don't know who shot it. Wasn't me, because that's me standing in the back. But this is, I just have some of us at different places. This, where that is, right? The Italian garden at Maymont. Phyllis Joyner, I think. Linda Connor. If you don't know who she is, she's teaches in San Francisco, big name photographer. She was here for a talk, and we got to spend a day with her. This is in the new pool at Maymont. All right, and then she so when I was pregnant, my son was born in December 80. And she said, "Oh no, you can't photograph pregnant women, it's bad luck." So right after my son was born, she started photographing pregnant women. I was annoyed with that. So this is my friend Marcia. And she didn't call it by the name of the mother, she called it by the name of the child, before Kate, before Leah. I love this one. I've been told that Leah, actually, this was in the Jackson Fine Arts in Atlanta, and I'm told that Leah bought the photograph. Yeah, this is before Luca. I don't remember who that was. She said, "Well, we went down to the river, and the woman just took her clothes off, and I wasn't expecting that." All right, and then as she got older and was less able to go places, she started doing things with old clothes. And these are just some old skirts. In Victorian days, you had the skirts and you had the bodice, and you had maybe different bodices. So she just took them and put them out in her garden in her house in the fan. And then she took them, the same ones, and did them. This, I don't know where this is. She did go down to the Savannah, to the cemetery in Savannah. It could be anywhere. And then she would just put dresses, in things. She calls this Friends Consult the Tarot cards. So, she was always kind of interested by that. So these are the bodices, you know, the other ones were the skirts. These are the
What
bodices.
kind of camera is she using on these?
What?
Is this isn't the pinhole, is it?
Yes.
Still pinhole?
Yeah,
It's
she,
still have
but
the-
she was using the 4x5 negatives then. So with the 4x5 negative, she had more control of the focal length of it. And it looks more normal.
Yeah, it doesn't have that vignette feel.
Yeah, it doesn't have that soft edge to it, yeah. Mhm. This is Grant's tomb, so it was, I can't remember, in the 80s. We went to a lot of Civil War reenactments. And I always said my son thought that, history was something you went and watched happen. He went to so many different historical things. This is Grant's tomb. So she did monuments. This is the Jefferson Davis. It's just his shadow. Oh yeah. So story about this. This is the arm of Stonewall Jackson. And we decided we were gonna find this. She knew it existed somewhere. And we went to Chancellorsville battlefield, and the guy said, well, you go this way and this way and this way. It's a house, and you walk behind the house and to the right, and there it is, buried. And when we did that, she could barely walk because she had to have a knee replacement. But she was doing sites and markers, and that was the Grant's tomb and the Stonewall Jackson's arm, and then the Stonewall Jackson's deathbed. And there she is photographing at the Jackson Shrine, I think. So anyway, we followed that, and I have a great shot, which I should have put in here, that she did of the 54th Mass was here at the Capitol, and I have a great shot of one of the old guys sitting in front of the Capitol. It's one of my favorite shots, but I didn't put it in here. Okay, so then after that, and this was probably early 2000s, we would go to these old houses and she would photograph them. This is not me, it's another Anne. She photographed a lot of Annes, actually. She called these the woman in white. And they're, again, abandoned houses. Ruins of the old Sheldon Church. And you see, she would have people put on their her Victorian clothes. And again, like you said, there's no distortion here because she's using that 4x5. See, I didn't realize I put that in. It should have been for this. Okay, the mausoleum in Edisto Island. And this is one of the abandoned houses that she and I went to, and I photographed her taken. So she would time it, you see, she would just time how long it took.
Yeah. Did she ever use it digital? Or did she always?
Oh, yeah, and I'm actually getting to that, sorry, she did. So she's starting to get where she can't walk so well, and I did kind of, well, anyway, so she started doing photograms. And the photograms were in her basement darkroom, using her light, her enlarger. And somebody along the way gave her this Brumangia. She named it Bobo. And she gave everybody little bits of it, and we take them home and grow the flowers and take them back to her. And she put them in her pictures. So these are just laid out on the paper and exposed and developed. And then we would go to those places like you were talking about earlier, and look for old dresses and old things she could put on there. So she has the Brumangia, she has the christening dresses. I don't have the other ones. Okay. And then these are kind of the last. She stopped making art, and this breaks my heart because she just can't do it. And she's not living in the fan anymore. She's at a home. But what she was doing is she still was using the Brumangia, but she would take photo paper and lay the things out on it, be like old paper, for trigger wrapping particularly. I don't know how familiar any of you are with real photo paper, but it's called trigger wrap and it gives you this warm tone. And I had a bunch of old paper I gave her that she used to make. Most of them were like 16, 20, 11 by 14, things like that. And she would she'd take a board, she'd put the paper on it, she'd lay stuff on it, put a piece of glass on it, carry it out to her front porch and set it in the sun for like 3 hours. And it would just turn dark where the sun hit it. And then she had to fix it. And that was how she made this. So it's not toned. It's just it's naturally what happened with the paper. The hand, all right, this is where she got digital. And she's like in her probably 80s now. She would take old photographs and things like that, put them on her scanner, scan them into this ancient Adobe program that I forgot the name of. We actually got it to go on all her later computers because she could never do Photoshop. But she would scan them into this program and then she'd print them on a clear piece of plastic like a negative. And then she would lay them on here. So that was her digital. That was her digital. Again, another photograph. And we would go to those antique places and look for what photographs they had available. This is on the left side is something from the tarot, judgment, right? Judgment, the tarot card, and then a hand print, and then the angel. She called the angel trumpet because they call them that trumpet flowers as well. Lumen Brugs. So Brumangia trumpet flowers. Some of these are for sale, by the way, in the gift shop. This is strength. Oh yes, I should be able to read that. Strength. The Fool, the Sun and the Moon, the Tower. Oh, right, and this is the banner that's in the atrium, so I'll put that in so you can see how that looks. But yeah, there's lots more to do, but I told Sue I did this talk for the visual arts group at the community college. Visual arts group had a conference in the fall, and I put this together and showed them things in the books and all that I have for you to see. And if you haven't gone to see her show, it's up through April. And it's in the back, Evans Court Gallery. So if you go in, the banner is open, like you go into the door, the banner's open, that way you go up the steps all the way back, just all the way back and to the right. I have taken my classes, I've met friends there. I've gone through and said, oh, this is what we did when we did this. It's an amazing thing for somebody 99 years old to be finally recognized from her locality and her home. And I want to end with, find it, oops. Oh, wait a minute. Turn this down. Here we go. I thought I would show you this is the video that the VMFA did. All right, wait a minute. Can you hear it? I'm not sure. I need my speakers now. That's what I thought. Okay. Okay.
I think mainly I like to try different.
Okay, I need to make them louder.
and
Sorry.
Maybe not what somebody else. So most life
Wait a
experience.
minute.
Just having fun, I guess. Yeah.
I think.
I went to Raymond, Mary. Turn my off, yeah. VCU, which was then Richmond Professional Institute, and that's what
All right,
I went to go to art school. I think really the person that really taught me a lot was Teresa Paula. She was a fashion school teacher, you know, but I mean, you really respected her. She'd been teaching a long time. So then I decided can you take slides of my paintings. So I took a summer course at VCU to learn how to use my camera, new camera. And the first thing we had to do was to make a pinhole.
Okay.
And George Nan was the teacher, and he had all the directions for making the camera. And I don't think anybody was enthusiastic because nobody knew what was gonna be the result. Well, I could not believe what came up in the development. It was just like a revelation to me. And I knew that that was not gonna be my next thing to try. So that's what got me started, yeah. And then I tried exposing directly on Cibachrome color material because color photography came into vogue. Was the Cibachrome material. And so I decided what would it be if I put it in the camera exposed on it. And it turned out it was blue. The whole thing was blue. So then I had to get people who knew a lot more about it than I did, and a lot of experimenting to find filters to put over the pinhole so that it would adapt the material to sort of natural color. So
Those people.
were really good source subject matter because people could lie in the sun, and then you would have the pool beside the people who were your subjects. So that was a good thing. And then still life, I fixed the still life set up in the backyard, and I could use that. That take like about a 5-minute exposure. So I was looking for things that stayed still for 5 minutes. And in the midst of the summer, because it seemed like the summer sun was better. And so that it just all worked out. Yeah. All these things that I'm talking about, when I made a change, it just seemed like it came like a door opened. I mean, I don't want to be that crazy, but that was the way it was. And that's exactly what happened with the reenactment, because I was using a pinhole camera, and I'd just gotten a 4x5 camera that I could use film holes in. I couldn't believe it. It was like, what is this? And from the beginning, I wanted to do both men and women, black and white, rebels and Yankees. And it was the most dramatic thing. They had these guys lying on beds and all calling for their mothers. And yeah, it was, they wouldn't let children go in there. And then they had the leg amputation. Wax man, you know. I've always been a fan of photography, the oldest photography. And I like the imagery, and I've collected photographs from the past quite a bit. And I'm on the 6th of June, which is right smack in the Gemini. So that appears in my work quite a bit. The piece in your collection is the pure Brumansia plant, just put on the photo paper and exposed to the sun. I mean, I learned all that just from doing this process. Yeah. Brumansia plant does have a shamanistic history. So that kind of interested me, you know, like it's so beautiful, but it does have a dark side. And I like that. And I hope that kind of gets through. So that work, yeah.
That was 2017. We're so fortunate.
Here, let me. I turn my sound. Yeah. There. what I was gonna say is we are so fortunate that we, have now we now have a photo curator at the BMFA. Her name is Sarah Kenner. I'm sorry, Sarah Kenner. There's, everybody there's named Sarah, I think. And you guys might consider contacting her and going to see what she could tell you about the collection at the BMFA. I know back kind of in the 90s, I was teaching at U of R. And George Kruger was the curator. He was an unofficial photo curator. And he let me go and show my students some of the, now, I don't know if she'll do that anymore. But you might consider, talking to her. The new wing they're building is or new part is supposed to have a photo gallery, not the hallway going to the bathroom anymore. We're glad to get that, but we're like, please don't put us by the bathroom, which they did. Virginia Society for the Photographic Arts, which no longer exists. Our goal was to get the museum to have a photography gallery. And our new director is a photographer, and that is very helpful. But you notice things don't go very fast. So that's pretty much it. Any questions to me? Yeah.
Well, I really like your comment about achieving recognition at age 99. That means there's hope for all of us.
Well, absolutely. And I remember seeing pictures of Matisse laying on his bed at 100 and doing those cutouts and having people move them to places where they go. And I'm like, okay, but she no longer makes art, and that's sad, but she physically has a lot of, she's almost 100. Her birthday is June the 6th. She'll be 100. Right?
Yeah, you may have mentioned that I missed it, but did she have a family and children?
Oh, yeah, she had, in fact, they talk about that at the museum, and I think, and Sarah Kenner did a talk, and I think you can find it on YouTube somewhere. She has 3 children. Her husband worked for Reynolds. He was a writer. He wrote poetry, which I have a book of poetry he wrote at one time. But her sons both live away, which has been difficult she was in the hospital this summer, and they had to figure out what to do with her. But one lives in Oregon, one lives in Atlanta, and the daughter lives here. So guess who does all the work? Yeah.
Was she able to see her show?
Yes, they did a couple of events. I went to a reception they did that you got an invitation to. They did a dinner for people who had donated money and things to the thing. And like I said, I donated I had 3 copies of that one of me on the float, but the one I gave them was matted, and she had written on the back all the things about exposure, and that's the one they wanted to keep. So that they actually also, by the way, own one of my pieces. I talked them into doing. I'm trying to talk them making more, but now I have given a piece as well to the museum. You don't just say you can have this, right? They have to accept it. And they don't just accept anything, but yeah. And there was a talk, I think it's online. They're doing a few things this month, I think, of women's this is Women's History Month or something, and they're doing some things at the museum about her show, which I don't know if I'll go to because I have a job. Any other questions? Well, thank you for having me. See me, and I'm always happy to be able to talk about. I think I've got everything.
We'll take a short break before photo share. Oh, yeah.
And that was the city. They would have been proud of these. Well, and then actually said, I'm going to bring it back. Why do you show it?
Membership check.
But that was. I was out of them. Australia. And still. Right after the. You know what, at 8.99, at least it's in our home for a long,
Yes.
I'm sure.
I'm all good standing. Yeah. Actually, physical. That I have. And my, and money. Treasurer. You know, the other one.
You're welcome to chill out.
Yeah.
Very. Well, I guess you don't appreciate it. So that's why I like it. Well, I'm glad you said that because she did. Yeah, but that's not. Well, that was fine. They had, like, and then they found out you have to upgrade. You have to upgrade not only Photoshop, but your computers. And they stopped using them.
I have to say.
Yeah, the ones you'll notice the one in the grade now.
Oh, I'm scheduled to.
That, I guess I must have.
I said, no, I'm not this jobless. I felt like.
And I like the one you see in the presentation, not the picture. As you can see the doctor's poster. Obviously, that looked really cool.
So,
Works.
I know, I know.
And they get that.
What they run, but I do, and that's the way it is.
Yeah, he's usually here. This one's. Oh, yeah.
well, that did pretty well. Didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
That was so fast.
I was trying to think earlier myself, we may have been.
I actually called the board. Story.
I know these things go down.
About a year and a half ago, kind of like. It's not the stage, like the projector is fine, and all the other equipment is fine. But the stage is stuck, they won't go up or down. And the lights. That's why they have the. Floor lamps. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, right.
There's quite a few.
Okay. Let's go for photos here.
No, it wasn't me.
I remember saying, like,
Pains that guy put two together. Young, there was like 4 or 6 people scaffolding together. The photograph. I stayed that way for a week. I only got one shot. I was like,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
The challenge was black and white, and some of us met at Hollywood and did some shots. This is mine. Confederate graves. Great thing about black and white, of course, is you can really up the black and do something with the white. The graves probably aren't really that white, but anyway. Go ahead.
That's Peter's.
There you go. These are about half a dozen that I got that day at Hollywood. I just 33 years old, and I just love this array of Confederate graves. Still some Confederate flags. Virginia beloved daughter historian, daughter of the American Revolution. And these are my wife drags me to coach shows occasionally. And this was the big East Coast one I handled a couple of weeks ago. This is a quilt of Miles Davis. And it's, yeah. VMFA, black and white. This is the Wickham House, which I mentioned earlier at the Valentine. If we can get in there, that is one of the nicest hallways you'll ever see. And great windows. In color, that's spectacular because that Oriental rug is red. State Capitol. And I took my son back to the airport at dawn one day. And that is looking up through the roof. And that little white disc is the moon. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. I think that's it for me, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Don't know the file format. How about that? Okay. Go to the other.
Go to the other one.
Yeah, right there.
That was a cactus out at Louis Ginter, a barrel cactus. I like the spikes on it. That's it's a Japanese maple leaf. That is focus stacked and handheld with my Canon R5 does the focus stacking now. It does a very nice job, and even though there was a little bit of movement, it held it pretty well. So I was happy with that. That's the bark. I believe that's a white cypress tree out at Louis Ginter. I took that the other day when I was out there. That is a tulip. I took one of the petals off so I could get a better shot on the inside. This was down in South Carolina. I went to a birding festival, and that was a blue heron flying away. Most of the birds are too far away for me to actually get photographs of, but I did what I could. And that was a brown pelican flying along as we walked along the beach. This was in a place called Yawkey's Tom Yawkey's Wildlife Preserve. This used to be a rice plantation. The Low Country in South Carolina, their plantations were primarily rice. And they actually brought slaves over from Africa from certain areas specifically because they knew how to grow rice. They grew rice very heavily in that part of Africa. So they brought people over from there to know how to run and manage rice plantations. And this was a little river. We took a barge trip up the river, and they showed us some things. And that was just along a bend in the river. I believe this is a Carolina wren that was singing on a post. This was in Brookstone Gardens. This was the big southern live oaks with the Spanish moss on it. It was pretty cool. And this is also in Brook Green Gardens. They have a really nice aviary that's in a very naturalized location. And that was a snowy egret. This was underneath one of those southern live oak trees, just looking down at a root and the acorns down below it. And this, I went to Emerald Isle at the end of February, and I was able to get 2 sunrises while I was there. And then it got cloudy, but this was the second morning. And this was, we drove down to Wilmington to Airlie Gardens, which is a very nice botanical garden. And there was also a good bit of bird life there. These 2 cormorants were in a tree across a lake. And these were ibises, a lot of ibises. They were all across the lake in a tree, as we would get a shot of them all. And then I went underneath the tree and shot up to get one of the ibises that was up there on the branch. And this is another shot of southern live oak with the Spanish moss blowing. It was a pretty breezy day that day. And this we went over to went up to Beaufort and went over to the Rachel Carson Preserve. This was a flock of robins in a tree that we saw. And this was just over the weekend at Echo Lake Park. There were I saw 3 cormorants out there, and this one was standing on a little log with a turtle, keeping them company. And then these are some daffodils from my garden that I got.
Great.
Thank you.
Mine, that's just peppers I took at a supermarket and put a texture over it. Nancy, you still work with elements, or is
Yeah. elements and topaz, basically. That's an ICM I just took the other day at, Ginter. Stalk of. This is from our alley to Hollywood, Cemetery. That's the picture, Will, that I took from the spot you were standing in. I did an ICM, same spot that Peters took his picture from. We totally different pictures from the same spot. And then I did it in color. Well, it was in color, I converted it to black and white. Picture from, I think, Tuckahoe Creek. This is interesting, I think this color is really nice. And I got home, I didn't know how I got that color, because water didn't look anything like that. And I realized after looking into it, I had accidentally changed the white balance, the water white balance to something else. Accidents sometimes work. I had no idea how I got that color, so I researched it. Thought it came out nice.
Yeah, it did.
Birds in flight.
How did you do the bird?
Ding. And then I think I just converted it using levels, something simple like that. Yeah, I've been here almost 2 years, and I haven't gotten enough nerve to put anything up. And this is really for practice for me. But this, I think it's a data I absolutely got where I got this. And it's unfortunately I took all of these in color and then changed them. I would pay attention to different things. Yeah, I think if I take it in black and white, but this is my daughter bought some kind of background that on the left side, you see, that's actually gold, and then there's some black texture, and I'm sitting on the floor taking that, but anyway, I liked it, so.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Great. And this, over here, and I probably were climbing in places we shouldn't have been climbing, but this is a picture of it. Of course, that's Richmond, and the trains were, our dad worked for the railroad, so we'd be on trains. Where were we? We crossed the river and then up at the top of it.
It looks like CSX or Southern. Norfolk Southern.
You know, some trail in one of the good ways, they had these, before the road, the bridge and everything, a lot of graffiti and all that sort of thing. We couldn't find it again, huh? We could have ended up at the bottom various. This is, now we're in Florida. I visited my cousin and she took me to this aluminum castle. And yeah, this fella had come wanting to do something artistic. He came from Bahamas and he went to this tiny place in Florida and he built this thing. And they charged $15 to go in, so we just took the outside, but anyway, it was a sort of interesting idea. Stained glass windows and the whole works. And this is one of the little, I guess, Lily, that was here, sort of an experiment in black and white. It's actually different colors of orange. I like that kind of picture. Yeah, these didn't work so well, but in color, this is in Thomas Edison's home. And it was Christmas time, clearly. So the red bows and all that sort of thing are real pretty, but you notice so much more, you know, if it's black and white on the, it looks a little busy, but at the same time, you notice a lot of things that you don't notice when the color is in there. And this also is in Edison's home. And this one didn't work quite as well, but anyway, I like it. Just you could sit there for a long time and look at all the things in there. And this was also
on that trip we were on a sunset cruise or something. In the East River, and that's cool. Everybody started clapping and here comes all of them. So we had to make sure that. Thank you. I might try again then. Yeah. Oh, sure.
That looks like me coming up.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one is, I'll call it an either inspired, that this year's, this past year's folk festival. Bunch of folks standing on the steps there and the construction cranes in the background, so that's, I'll call it, an either inspired. Next is, real close friend of our family, Earl Booker. He actually dated my oldest daughter for a minute, shall I call it? But like I said, we're real close to friend of the family. His helicopter he was in crashed on June the 30th, 2007 in Iraq. And this is taken at all at the National Cemetery, right? I went up there and some pictures of his tombstone where he's buried. And what the deal is, there were 12 people on the chopper, the helicopter crashed. The parts of the body that they could find that they could identify the girl is in that particular grave right there. And all of it. Go to your next picture. And the family of the 12 agreed that parts that are not identifiable would be put in this mass grave right here. At all. Like I said, the 12 lives lost. And I call this freedom not free. Next one. And so at Manchester High School, they dedicated a Darrell Booker Way there at Manchester High School in Chesapeake County. And that's his picture that they had there at the dedication. And of course, he graduated from Manchester High School. Next picture. And this is a Black Hawk helicopter similar to the one that crashed. And my two grandkids in front of it, Lily and Isaiah. And the next one, this is the person on the left is his wife. The young lady in the middle is his mother. And the man on the right is his stepfather. That's Darrell Booker Way. They're in Chesapeake County, Manchester High School. Next set of pictures is Michael Clark, who lives in Florida, is writing a book about his great-great-grandfather, Edward Clark. And Michael had contacted Ann Salvage about, since he lives in Florida, somebody to take some pictures there of the Petersburg battlefield. And so Ann thought of me, as she said, she knew I would get the job done. So he wanted some pictures of the entrenchment there. This is, of course, a replica from 1864. The original would not be there, so I guess they rebuilt some things there. But this is entrenchment. And of course, in battle, what you want to do is you entrench in the area. You want to get it so that the enemy can't contact you. So this is where the Confederate Battery Number 9 is encamped. That's part of the entrenchment or fortification, I'll call it. And the next one. And this was at, I don't know, if any of you have been to the Petersburg battlefield, but it's a trail, one-way road that you go through. And this all is at stop number 4, or no, stop number 3. And what had happened, before you know, go back, what had happened there on, date is, June 14th, no, June the 15th, 1864. The, United States Color Troop, the 18th Corps, captured the Confederates at this entrenchment on the 15th of June, 1864. And they wanted to proceed down to stop number 4, which is at Harrison Street. But the deal is they didn't didn't want to give the colored troops, United States colored troops, that much credit to go on down there. So they waited a day. And as a result of waiting a day, the Confederates were able to get more people and supplies in. And then we go down to stop number 4, Harrison's Creek. And this is where the military infantry, the 5th Military Infantry, had, pretty heavy battle, shall I call it. And they thought they had more casualties than they should have because they waited a day. And going to the next one, Harrison Creek. And then the next one. And this is where the time, date, and place that according to Michael Clark, his great-great-grandfather, Edgar Clark, was shot in his left leg. And he subsequently had to have it amputated during the. But he still lived and had a good life up in Michigan, which is where they were from. And like I say, Michael Clark is writing a book, and he promised to give me a copy once it's done. Now on to a, shall I say, a soft note. This is a model, Christina model that I shot and photographed. And here I'm using a like a circle of light to get the eyes. And I call this the eyes. And it's back up on there. And this is a figure that she's holding, that a young lady who interned with me from Thailand gave me. So that is the shield. And then the next one, the last one. I call this staring out the window, watching out the window. Against Christian law. And that's it.
The one image I submitted, I'm a dazzler, not nowhere near as accomplished as most of you people are, so I'm here to learn. But this was taken the first morning of me visiting my sister at her house in Cape May, and no one was up except me and these 3 ladies. I just, they're amazing figurines or whatever you want to call them. Sitting there on top of the bar, obviously glasses there, and got the story behind them.
Fun picture.
So appropriate for the beach. The only comment I have for my own work on this shot is I wish I had a wider photo. I would have gotten there's 2 women figures back behind. So I had titled this beach ladies or beach babes, I think it's something singular, because only the one over on the right is really sharply in focus. But
I kind of like just having the one in brighter focus. I think it adds to it.
Yeah, stop.
You want
There,
to
it's
put
like-
the focus in.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I'd say the whole bit in
Right, so I'm gonna-
focus, I don't think it would have been as good.
just can't sell it. A lot of light. That's it.
Yeah, I've got to exit out of here for a second. This computer is not doing anything.